What older generation's advice you found funny which later turned out to be true? Story 1. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Story 2. The company only has your back if it's in their financial interests. Story 3. I was a waiter in my early 20s and there was a grizzled old dishwasher who told me, "Everything catches up to you. Everything." I blew him off because I was young and knew it all and was gonna be young forever. Or so I thought. I later found out he was absolutely correct for good or bad. Story 4. Freezing food always seemed so weird to me. Then I had to buy my own groceries and realized that I could buy meat when it's on sale and have a nice stockpile. When first hit, it was so nice to have so much available food, and now that everything is super expensive, it's great to go early in the morning, buy marked down meat, and then freeze it for later. Story 5. Teenagers are Story 6. I thought I would have so many pets as an adult when I could do what I want. Turns out I love animals but hate taking care of them. Too much money and responsibility. Now I see why parents didn't want a bunch of animals. Story 7. When you're choosing who to marry, don't focus on looks. Looks don't last forever. Focus on voice, that does last forever, and you're going to be listening to that voice for the rest of your life. Damn true. Story 8. That one of the students was actually a cop. Turns out he was a cop and busted one of the actual students for selling handguns in school. If you thought 21 Jump Street was unrealistic, think again. Cop was a 33-year-old male and undercover for like half the semester. Story 9. When you're in your 20s, you worry about what people think about you. When you're in your 30s, you don't worry about what people think about you. When you're in your 40s, you realize nobody ever cared or thought about you. Story 10. Air out your home. My parents did this obsessively. I thought it was insane. Turns out indoor air quality is pretty bad to start with and gets worse with gas fires and people breathing. Story 11. Mark Twain had a great quote, and I can't recall the exact wording, that went something like this. At 16, I realized my father was an By the time I turned 21, I was amazed at how much he learned in just 5 years. Story 12. Nothing good happens after midnight. As a former bartender, I ignored this rule for a decade. After working late nights, I 100% agree. It's like a switch in people's minds go off at 12. Story 13. It's cheaper to hire a professional to do the job than to try and save a couple dollars to do it yourself. Story 14. If the women don't find you handsome, they better at least find you handy. Story 15. My dad used to say it doesn't matter what job you have, and it doesn't even matter if you like it. As long as you get some pay for your benefits instead of you paying for them, you'll always be doing very well in life. Story 16. Don't take a girl out for sushi unless you're gonna marry her, cause sushi is expensive. I took the girl out anyway and man, it was expensive as hell. We didn't get married. Story 17. In high school, that the biology teacher was growing in the environmental lab. Supposedly he did it for 30 years without anyone noticing. No one could ever prove it though. Later on, I was assigned to be the agent taking care of some of his financial matters, so I went to his house to have him sign some paperwork. He had a set up there, so I asked him about the environmental lab. It was like Han Solo in The Force Awakens. It's true, all of it. Then he offered me a brownie. Friends, before we continue our video, I want to remind you of the importance of subscribing to our channel. We are also waiting for your comments and likes. Thank you. Let's move on to the video. Story 18. My grandpa always had this advice. If you want to make more money, then change careers, not job. Probably makes more sense if you're work and trade type jobs, but I have been around long enough where I have seen people job jump for $25 an hour and basically be financially in the same or worse position because they didn't realize something like healthcare premiums were cheaper or they weren't fully vested in their 401 when they left, so now they lost a chunk of their retirement saving. Story 19. An older teacher of mine in high school taught if you ask enough people out eventually, you'll land someone way out of your league. Even though I was an awkward nerd in HS, that next year's homecoming I landed my now ex, and there were lots of jealous guys with angry girlfriends with lots of attention on me and my date. I ran into her not too long ago, and I swear she could probably go be a Hollywood actor or make it as a Victoria's Secret model if she wanted to. Story 20. You shouldn't waste your money on possessions like clothing, jewelry, and cars because they only lose value and no one is impressed by any of it. Yeah, now I agree. Story 21. Don't trust the government. I used to think grumpy old men were just looking for someone to blame for their problems, but now I think they got a point. This is a good note to end on. Please write your stories in the comments. I'll be happy to add them to future videos. Also, you can rate our other videos. We would be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.